Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Sermon, a Bethany podcast where we have the privilege of digging deeper into our Sunday messages. I am Tammy DeLau, and today I am joined, as always, with Pastor David Baxley and Pastor Steve Musto. So super fun.
Not always, but usually.
Usually, yeah. You're right. I chose the wrong word. So we have been in a series, guys. We are walking through the Sermon on the Mount. And when we started this series, we called it the Upside Down Kingdom. Mm-hmm. And for those who were paying attention to our little, what is that called? Bumper reel.
The bumper.
Yeah. There was some familiarity in it, but you saw the word next. And so we've changed that. We're still doing the same thing because we live in an upside down kingdom. But what does that look like for us at Bethany?
So we did, the way I described this several months ago and conceived of the series was how do we change right in the middle of a series? Mm-hmm. We need to shift our focus from this is just what Jesus is saying in general to all believers to let's make this really specific at Bethany. How does Bethany respond to this? And we need to, so the way I described it, I think to Josh, who was doing the bumper, was I said, it's sort of like at those award shows when the host changes outfits, a couple times in the middle of, it's the same show. It's just a different outfit. Mm-hmm. And I said, that's kind of, it's the same passage. We're going through the Sermon on the Mount, but we had to change outfits like midway through.
I kind of want him to change outfits. Like that would have been fun.
That would have been cool.
That would have been a really good idea. Oh, so one thing that we did, and I brought it on today, is we did hand out this booklet to all of our people.
Yep.
So I know not everyone comes on Sunday, and some people maybe missed getting them. And so I have these in baskets in the lobby for the worship center downstairs and for the chapel upstairs. So if anyone's hearing about them, wondering, we have more copies of these.
Great.
So I wanted you all to know that.
Yeah, and that will help answer a lot of questions. Obviously, I didn't do a full deep dive on Sunday morning. I couldn't, but this does a much better job of that.
But also, everyone should have received a podcast today at some point.
Without me.
Maybe tomorrow. Sorry, sorry,
that's right.
maybe tomorrow with a more detail. Just Steve and I having a conversation about more details, really outlining the what, the how, the why for the whole process that we're about to walk together.
Yeah, that was really good, guys. It answered a lot of questions.
Well, good.
So.
On that note, one of the next steps that we have in our process, in our next process, I encourage people to please pray and to begin having a conversation about what can we give. And that's building up to November 23rd is going to be a commitment Sunday when we are going to be able to say, to commit to this is what we're giving. So we're handing out, depending on when you're watching the podcast, either you will get this or you have gotten this. If you're at the service on Sunday, is a commitment card, and on one side of the commitment card is this is what we're giving. I mean, this is what we have given previously. This is how we're upping it. Here's how we'd like to give, how much we'd like to give in a one-time gift, and then a total. And there's an opportunity even on the back to see different gifts as examples. And what that would look like, how many we'll need of each one. And really what this is meant to do is to give us a sense of, how bought in is everybody to this thing. Yeah. And it's important. It's really important that we know that we have kind of critical mass before we get started. And so that's coming up in a few weeks. So everybody's going to get one of these, and that is just going to be a reminder to continue to pray for the next initiative as we move forward.
And for those who aren't here on Sunday when we're handing those out, in the baskets with the next booklets, I will have those so people can grab a commitment card. I'll tell you what I am encouraged by on that commitment card is the way that you have it broke down, the number of commitments that are needed and the different, this is doable. Like this makes you realize, you see 6.9, and I totally 100% 100% understand a big chunk of that number is just budget,
Yeah.
what we've been doing,
3.8.
what we're doing. Yeah. But you see that number and you're like, whoa. But then you see the breakdown and actually even how many given units you have. We can do this, Bethany.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
this is possible.
That's
like
good, Tammy.
we can double this. Like seriously. I mean, I think this so that encourages
Yeah.
me. So yeah.
Yeah, and our you know, the person who sort of leads us through this, who's our generosity consultant, agrees. This is a doable number, and this is something that can happen. And this is a guy who does this with dozens of churches all over the country, all different sizes, projects that are into the multi-millions, and does this same process. And over the course of 2 years, this is what they're able to do. So we're trying to follow that process closely. So that's we'll talk a little bit more about that in the message this weekend, but that's what's going to be available to us, is that commitment card. But there's something else going on this Sunday that I just want to take a few minutes and talk about, because we felt God leading us several months ago to make Wafer Food Pantry one of our local ministry partners. And this was a pretty easy decision, actually. We knew a lot of those folks. A lot of Bethany people are already volunteering over at Wafer. And food pantries exist. They're grocery stores, but they are free. They're free grocery stores for people who are low income and need that. Several months ago, when we made the decision to do this, we also put on the calendar for right now, 2 weeks worth of a food drive. And in my mind, the reason we were going to do this was I was thinking Thanksgiving. I was thinking, we're all going to be going out. So many people are going out and they're buying all this food for family and whatever. And a lot of that food even is going to go to waste because not everybody's going to eat it. And what a great time to be able to to donate some of the food that we have to a local food pantry and make a difference in the lives of poor families. And it's a wonderful idea. Well, we didn't know that the government shutdown was going to be going on. God knew, we didn't know. And so the reality is that unless something drastic changes, and I know you're praying, I think we're all praying that it changes quickly. If something doesn't change by Saturday, which is November 1st.
Which is when people receive their money.
People
on their SNAP
normally
card.
receive their SNAP benefits on November 1st. So I just want to explain this because this was not familiar to me up until like 2020. There was a point in time where I was out of work, and Kathy was working kind of part-time, and the pandemic was in full swing. Churches weren't hiring. I was really not in a place necessarily to really lead a church. I was still kind of in recovery mode from our last ministry, and we were in the midst of the pandemic. I mean, it just was. It was hard to find a job, even doing anything. And so we were living in Illinois, and we were on SNAP benefits. And it was humbling, it was difficult, but basically what SNAP benefits are for the uninitiated is the government gives you like a little credit card, and they put money in your account each month based on need, and you go to the grocery store and you can use that card when you buy your groceries. You swipe your SNAP card and it pays for your groceries, and you get a certain amount for the month, so you got to shop really carefully. But it kept us afloat for many months. And
Okay, well, now I'm going to share. There was a period of time where Andy was unemployed, and as everyone knows, we have a lot of children.
Yeah.
And so we also had a SNAP card.
Oh, there you go.
So if there are two of the three of us sitting here who have had to do that, and we've been blessed by that, that is representative of what's going to happen to a lot, like I'm going to get teary, a lot of people on Saturday.
Yeah, let's just.
So-
I want to put some flesh to this, because it's really easy to just say, these are people who should have jobs or whatever. I want to be really clear. We're talking about children or babies who need baby formula.
Yeah.
And parents unable to afford baby formula for their kids. We have diabetics who there's food that's good for them and food that is not good for them, and the food that's good for them is expensive. They're not going to be able to buy what they need. They're going to try to stretch those dollars. We are legitimately talking about people going hungry, and on top of all of that, we have kids at in public school who have free and reduced lunch and some of those other things that are going to be called into question as well. And so this is affecting real families. I don't care what your political vantage point is. We're not going to score points on the backs of hungry kids. So whatever side of this you're on, and they should do this or they shouldn't do that, we need to just say there are people who are suffering. Let's take care of that.
Well, and I would also say, regardless of what view you have of what the government should do, we have a calling we can respond to as a church of what we can do.
Yeah.
As a church, into our community, meeting those needs. We don't need to bring politics into the conversation because we can take action and we can care for those kids by joining with a non-political organization in our community that loves people so well.
Right.
Yeah.
And how cool that God knew. And we are going to have the wafer truck here on a little patch of grass as people walk in, which I know many are going to be like, man, I forgot to turn the clock back, and I left my groceries on the on the table. So they get 2 weeks, so they'll have a great reminder. But we also, people are going to be able to give financially to Wafer, and so Wafer gets to buy in bulk. And so they're going to be able to buy more peanut butter than Tammy DeLau can buy. And so people can also give practically and financially to Wafer. And we can make a difference as a church. Like, we are talking about this upside down kingdom, and these things are going to attract others to Jesus. I mean, that's what you talked about last week with our honesty and our mercy and our love. And we have the privilege to extend mercy and love these next 2 Saturdays. Like, I just get teary. I'm a mess.
So
cool.
Wafer is probably going to be inundated in the next couple of weeks. So and if you are not in a position to be able to donate food or whatever, do you have some time that you can give to Wafer and go over there and help families shop, because they are going to have a lot more people, and it is our responsibility as followers of Jesus to care for those who are the least of these. And so and for those who are temporarily struggling. And so let's do that.
Awesome. Okay, guys, we are going to move on from Matthew 5 to Matthew 6 this week. And I'm hosting, so hopefully I remember to say the right Matthew.
Matthew 6, yeah.
Yeah, Matthew 6, yes. The right
Matthew. I don't know why you've been so caught up in Matthew 5.
Because
it's like Christmas has come for Tammy. Matthew 6.
Because it's one of those things when I'm preparing to host and getting ready in the morning and making sure that coffee grounds I'm like, oh, what is David preaching? Where are they? And so it's been kind of beaubeautiful to just know what it is.
You can count on Matthew 5.
I've been able to count on Matthew 5.
Here's the thing. If you say Matthew 5, don't sweat it, because it's not going to cost anybody anything for me to say, actually, let's go to Matthew 6. It'll be okay.
They're on the same page.
We'll figure it out.
Let's go to Matthew 6, and let's not look at verses 1 through 4, because we're going to not do those we're going to do them, but not this week.
Not this week. So we have a lot going on this week, you guys. In addition to a wafer and the time change, we also have baptisms at multiple services. So we're trying to fit all of these things.
We're spinning a lot of plates
together, and it's just a lot. So so we're gonna cover 5 through 18 of chapter 6 this weekend, and then the following weekend we're gonna do 1 through 4. So that's, we're just doing it slightly out of order.
So it's interesting, if we go back last week and a week before, we were looking at 6 laws, and Jesus was kind of reframing those for people and showing his heart. And so those laws really looked at how we treat one another as brothers and sisters, but one another just as humans, people who don't even know the Lord. This week, or for a couple of weeks, we're going to look at religious activities. And so kind of, I don't want to say it's just about God, but kind of, we're praying to God, we're fasting, we're doing those things. Our generosity is for God's kingdom to advance. And so that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk about specifically you're doing a lot of verses. I think it's 5 through 18.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you before we started what you would like me to read. Is there anything specifically we need to read?
Yeah, let's just read the Lord's Prayer, because
Okay.
that's the centerpiece of it. So basically what Jesus is doing is he's moving into now the worship portion, because in addition to getting the 6 laws of how we treat each other wrong, they have also been kind of getting the worship piece
Okay.
wrong, and Jesus wants to correct that. So as a centerpiece of all of that, there's the Lord's Prayer. Matthew records the Lord's Prayer happening here in the Sermon on the Mount. And when Jesus prays it, because Jesus prays it, it immediately takes on a life of its own. And over the 2,000 years since Christ, it has become so much bigger than just, Jesus prays a lot. We have a lot of Jesus prayers recorded here, but there's something about the Lord's Prayer that has resonated. And so I'm not going to get to, as much as I'd love to unpack every line of the Lord's Prayer, we're not going to get to do that. I'm going to talk more generally about it and what it is.
More what the Lord's Prayer is, what the Lord's Prayer isn't. Is that more what Sunday is going to look like? Okay.
So, but I think it's worth us at least reading it and then talking a little bit about the Lord's Prayer itself.
All right. So I am pulling it right from your notes, and I need to get there. Don't be like that. Okay. Therefore, you should pray like this, starting in verse 9. Our Father in heaven, your name be honored as holy. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we also forgive our debtors. And do not bring us into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For if you forgive, I'd stop there, right? Because verse 14.
Yep, but go ahead and finish it, because he turns then and unpacks that last part.
For if you forgive others their offenses, your heavenly Father will forgive you as well. But if you don't forgive others, your Father will not forgive your offenses.
So before we dive in, there's a little elephant in the room as Tammy's reading this that I think many of our listeners felt, which is right after she said, do not bring us into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. How many of us wanted to say, for yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Well, I wanted to do thine.
Is the kingdom.
I've really let go of my King James as best as I could. But yes, right? There's this thing there that for many listening said, well, you missed something, but you didn't miss something.
Have you ever been in a church service or something where they're going to do the Lord's Prayer, and you get to the part about forgive us our... Is it going to be debts or is it going to be trespasses? And everybody just sort of mumbles their way through it, because half the crowd, half the crowd is debts, half the crowd is trespasses. We don't know which one this church does, so we're just going to kind of mumble. Yeah, I've been there. But yes, so there's a whole nother little part. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. That got tacked on. Later on as part of that.
Yes, that's
So
right.
is that tacked on part in some of our Bibles, or is that tacked on part we just orally, traditionally have done that?
No, I think it's an oral tradition.
Okay.
I don't know.
There are some translations,
Okay.
older translations, that do have that in there, but most modern translations now have a note that will say later manuscripts included this part, and as earlier manuscripts have been made available over the years, as new translations have come out, we've realized, hey, this was added. It was a part of tradition. It was a part of liturgy, but not necessarily part of the original manuscripts that we're looking at right now.
Yep.
Okay. That's a fun, geeky Bible nerd thing.
Good job.
I
heard it in
love it.
I heard it in my head, and I'm like, I'm not the only one, and I know the story behind it. So,
Right. Oh, that's good.
So Jesus gave this model of prayer, and there are just a couple of things that are remarkable about it, and that would have been remarkable to his listeners, to his disciples. The first one is the way he starts it. Our Father in heaven. That is a normal way for us to start a prayer. That was not what they would have been praying. It's familiar. It is relational. In fact, the whole prayer is familiar and relational. It shows a mutuality of care. God, I love you. Your name is holy. But also, you love me. You forgive my sins. I want to forgive the sins of others. God, meet my needs because I know that you love me enough to meet my needs. These were concepts that are in the prayer that were not familiar to the people of Jesus' day. I think there was a rightful, holy fear of God, but also there was a distance from God.
Would they, I have so many questions, guys. Would they have called him Father? Was that intimate? Would he have been Yahweh? Was just thinking of him being in heaven? I mean, they have the temple and the tabernacle, and that's where his name dwells. It was just were they having all of those thoughts?
So we don't know. We don't know the full answers to a lot of those. Most of the time,
I'd love to ask you those questions.
They,
Sorry.
Yeah, they would not have said Yahweh. They didn't say Yahweh. They would have called him Shem.
Okay.
Shem just means the name.
Okay. Because you couldn't say Yahweh.
Because you couldn't say Yahweh.
Because it's so holy. Okay.
So when they were referring to God, when they were sitting around having a conversation, they would refer to God as Shem, or the name, instead of saying the name of God.
Formerly called Prince.
Yeah, it has a little bit of that flavor of, it's only slightly sacrilegious. That's okay.
This isn't awkward at all.
No, but yeah.
So thinking of God as their Father does go back to the Old Testament. And there are places in the Old Testament where, he is referred to in that way. But for Jesus to codify that and to say, this is not just, he's not just the Father of the Jewish nation. He is personal. He is my heavenly Father. That is a whole nother level. And so Jesus brought that into what was normative for the Christians of his day.
Well, and the prayer, as you articulated, Steve, goes on and tells us what this interaction with our Father does. He's moving it from this conceptual role, this figurehead, to this conversational piece, almost, that we now are invited into with God, and how we offer it, but also what he is offering us, and just reminding this relationship that we have with him.
What I find interesting as you guys are talking is if they were used to, as a people group, it being their Father, and so making it personal, we as individualized Americans have made it my God and not our God. And so if this is about correcting religious activities, we've got some correcting to do too.
Oh, yeah, undoubtedly. And, part of, as you look at the Lord's Prayer, what you find is just walking through it. So addressing our Father in heaven, God, your name is holy, and then your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as is in heaven. Let's put a pin in that for just a second, because let's come back to that. And then help me, God, meet my needs. Give us today our daily bread, not my weekly bread, because that's not how people thought in those days. They didn't go to Woodman's and buy lots of groceries for the week. That was not part of their world. So give us today our daily bread. Give us what we need.
Which is reminiscent of the Israelites in Egypt, or coming out of Egypt.
Coming out of
Egypt,
the manna. Right.
Their daily bread.
And forgive us our sins as we also forgive those who sin against us. Please don't bring us into temptation. Deliver us from the evil one. Which is interesting. The Greek of that is really more, please don't allow us to come into, not don't lead us into.
It's a prayer of protection.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't let us be led into would be a better translation.
The way you hear it, when don't lead us into temptation, it's like you've got, people could hear you've got a God who's got a carrot, who's trying to and that's not who
You're
our
like,
God
well,
is.
wait a second, God,
Yeah,
don't
that's
leave
not
me
who
into
our God
temptation.
is.
Okay, well, I was going to until you asked me not to.
Yeah.
Well, and what I appreciate about that is, as I've looked at that more over the years and said in that, what you just said, Steve, is God, protect me from what the enemy is coming to do, but give me eyes to see how to walk toward you in holiness.
Yeah.
It brings a piece of this that sometimes can get missed in that, of my part of saying, God, I want to yield myself over to you, almost as the close of this prayer.
I mean, I'm going to probably jump us all around, but even if we go back to the hallowed be thy name, coming out of this is how you treat one another, is part of the way our God's name is hallowed, is in our behavior.
Yeah.
So, because it's right there. It happens right after. And so when I was studying last night, I'm like, whoa, how did I miss that?
Right.
You know?
Right. So let's go back for just a second to your kingdom come, your will be done. Because that's one of those, in English it rhymes. Your kingdom come, your will be done. And so it's an easy phrase, and it's easy to just say and to gloss over. And the spiritual depth of your kingdom come and your will be done it might be the deepest part of the whole prayer in my mind. And maybe I just feel that way because I'm studying Revelation in anticipation of what we're going to be doing in January. But if you go to Revelation 21, where there's the new creation, the new Jerusalem, Revelation 22, the source of life, there's the tree of life, and heaven is brought to earth. That's what we think of as heaven. God recreates all of the earth. And in that moment, as we realize, as we read it in Revelation, that God's kingdom has come. That is the ultimate culmination of God's kingdom coming to earth. Eden is what he started at Eden, that gets ruined in Genesis 3, gets remade and recreated, and God's kingdom has come. And he reigns and rules with the Lamb. And just this incredible picture, it just gives you chills. So what Jesus is saying for us to pray is that not that God's will won't come on earth. It's this anticipation of, ooh, when is that happening? It's like a kid at Christmas. How many more days till Christmas?
How many more sleeps?
How many more sleeps until I get to that wonderful day? And there's this sense of anticipation that we have. God, hurry up. Come on. Bring your kingdom here. And we're going to unpack in the series, the Revelation series, why don't we feel that way? Why don't we have that sense of
fear?
Yeah, why? What is it about us that says, well, I don't know if I want Jesus to return. I got stuff I want to do and things I want to experience. And why don't we have that same sense? That's what Jesus is telling us to pray for in the Lord's Prayer.
So I love that heart. Yet in this, there's also that not yet, but still a now in this. There is a now in this.
Sure.
And it's what Jesus is trying to. It's what he came to begin, that it comes in completion in what you just talked about. And so part of it is saying, if this is the hope, if this is what God is coming to completely do, and I get to be a part of that, I'm also asking the question, what is my right now that joins with what God is doing in preparation for that moment?
But that is Christmas Day. So to get to Christmas Day, somebody has to do the shopping, buy the presents, wrap the presents, do all the things.
Bringing it together.
Write the list to Santa. These are very important things. Leave the carrots out for Rudolph. All of this has to be done before you get to the day.
Experience this, yes.
And so this is Jesus saying these things need to happen, and so that's all part of
I love that. Yes.
I know. As you're both talking, I'm like, wait a minute. We're talking about the upside down kingdom. We're saying we're living in an upside down kingdom, and now you say there's a kingdom coming, but they're the same. It is this Christmas thing. So does that make sense?
So what do we say? We begin Christmas season. Like there's this moment where everything shifts. Our focus shifts. Our the music we listen to shifts. Like the movies we watch, they shift. Our whole focus leads up to this moment, but we don't just move on with life as if it was October. No, there's like something changes sometime, and if you're healthy, it doesn't change until after Thanksgiving, but that's a different conversation. But at some point,
judgment
no, I'm just kidding. That's a big conversation in our household, right? But this moment shifts where you say my mind and my heart is now aligned with what I see coming and what I do now. My plans as they change, the way I spend money changes, the way I think changes, the way I talk to people. What do I say?
What I eat.
Yes, I don't say hello. What do I say? Hey, Merry Christmas. Everything about me begins to change in anticipation
that's good,
for this. And this is what Jesus is doing.
Yeah.
Well, you started it.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say that, there's this window of time where you can drink eggnog.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And then you become the weird guy who's drinking eggnog in August. Like, what are you doing? That's completely out of place.
Yeah, you can.
But it is. We are. So now Jesus begins the season, as it were.
Yeah.
And the decorations come out, and everything changes. And so, as followers of Christ, that we are living in that.
So if
reality.
you go back to the question where you asked, why are we not excited? Why do we not live with anticipation?
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm thinking of Chronicles of Narnia and always winter and no Christmas. We're choosing to live in always winter and no Christmas. And at some level.
And I think with that saying, I'm going to go with that Christmas analogy, because I know for me, and my family, we just love Christmas season so much. We have the rule of, like, we're not gonna watch anything but a Christmas movie because we want to anticipate. We don't just change we change with this anticipation in mind. I think sometimes we don't anticipate because we're not living for what is coming. We're just living for what seems to work right now and what feels natural, and so our hearts aren't stirred. We watch that movie because it stirs our heart toward what's coming, right? We listen to that music because it stirs our heart toward what's coming. But we have to make a purposeful choice to shift our way of thinking. And so we can't anticipate coming what we have not chosen yet to have our focus.
Yeah. So as we bring things to a close here, really what we're saying, what Jesus is telling us in this passage is citizens of the upside down kingdom, they worship differently. It's going to look different. They're going to pray differently. They're going to fast differently. We can talk about fasting, but that's part of the passage too. And what's great about this is back in March, for 2 weeks we unpacked prayer. March 2nd, you spoke on prayer, and then the 9th was fasting, and I unpacked fasting. So anybody who's interested in diving a little deeper into either of those topics can go back to March 2nd and March 9th of this year. But the idea that Jesus is conveying is that if we're going to live for Him, if we're really going to be focused on Yahweh God, and we're going to live as citizens of an upside down kingdom, we're going to worship differently. Everything we do is going to be different. That includes our worship. Okay.
Well, I have a question. So hopefully I forgot to set the timer, so I have no idea, guys, how long this is going.
Yeah.
So, but it's super fun. The verses that talk about we won't be forgiven unless we forgive. That, and then it's kind of repeated. That feels like something we should touch on a little bit.
Yeah. I can't.
Okay.
In a short amount of time, but I can. Okay. We did do a forgiveness series where we talked a little bit about that. That do we really understand forgive? If we are unwilling to forgive someone else because what they've done is so egregious that it cannot be forgiven, do we actually understand God's forgiveness? And if we don't understand God's forgiveness,
have we received?
Really received it? Have we really received that for ourselves? That's kind of a summary.
That's good.
Summary of it.
All right.
Yeah, I think we that idea is something that helps me when I am trying to check, have I forgiven somebody? I go back and I ask myself, how do I see them? If I've forgiven them, it's not that I don't know the things that were wrong have happened, but I no longer define them by
That's
what has
good,
happened.
David.
Right.
And so if someone's saying, okay, but what is forgiveness? How do I know if I've forgiven or not? It's how do I define that person? When I look at them, do I see them through what the pain they've caused? Do I still keep coming back to that when I look at them? Or am I able to say, I know the pain they caused, but that's not how I define them anymore.
And that is what we gave as the definition of forgiveness.
Yes.
In the forgiveness series was, I no longer allow this incident to define our relationship.
That's
And so there you go.
All right.
Yeah. So this has given me great anticipation for Sunday. We've got baptisms. We've got
Oh, man.
an opportunity to be
So
hands
fun.
and feet for Jesus. And we get to look at this next section of the Sermon on the Mount. So thank you guys. And thank you for joining us. Have a great week. Bye-bye.